Planning Board, July 11th, 2023 at 6:03 p.m. With a roll call.
Ray Kitty.
Ken Morrow.
Jeff North.
And Dave Burnham, Chair. Agenda review, we're all set there, right? We just got one item.
You just do have the one case.
Okay, continued business is done, so we'll jump right into the new business, which is 2023 SPFP-0. Dennis Fleury, owner, requests a final review to approve the site plan for a new commercial structure. Property identified as map 235, lot 022-002, located at 926 John Stack Highway in the Rural Commercial Zoning District.
Mr. Chairman, could I make a correction?
Sure.
On Dennis's application, he did write phase 1, and I did the typo with the final. So I don't know if that makes any difference, but he didn't write final, he wrote phase 1 of a review. That was it.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know.
Is there,
The first time you've seen it.
is there a reason why you don't want the final review?
No.
I just,
Okay.
and if
Just
I had-
checking
Yeah.
before we
If I-
get into that.
Right, if I had done it the other way around and wrote a phase 1 when someone wanted a final, we'd have to repost, because then people would be expecting multiple
Okay.
phases.
Okay,
But I just wanted to point that out,
okay.
if you're needed in additional information.
And I see you have no issues with anything that's in progress, is it?
I don't, I apologize, wait, you didn't get the updated, right here, sorry, no, sorry, I gave an updated one. I
Oh,
apologize. That one
Thank you.
is out of date. I hope everyone got the updated one.
Administrative review,
It's this one
I'll read them out.
instead of that.
The fire department and the building will need to meet the requirements outlined in NFPA 101, Chapter 42. No fire alarm required if the building is under 100,000 square feet. Building inspector, the structure plans have to be engineer stamped, which I don't think that's going to be a problem. All other departments had no issues or concerns. Septic plans approved by the state. No signage on John Stack Highway, no lighting except emergency lighting on the exterior of the building. And there's presently some property lighting at that location already, right? The ones that were there on the prior application.
Pardon me?
On your property, you have some lighting. They're just going to stay there, right? Okay.
I have photos of it in the packet.
Okay.
And the building will have, some downcast lighting over the doorways.
Okay. We got to do a acceptance of the application that's complete. Negate that. The property's already been approved for use.
To get it open for conversation.
Okay.
This is all we have for site plan analysis?
Yes, and that is it. And we don't obviously have like the north guidance, and it's not surveyed. It's not a surveyor didn't do it, obviously, since it's a drawing. It is marked out though, and I took photos. Dennis has it laid out, and I went and got photos on a very rainy day, but I did try to get photos of how he has it laid out.
I'll make a motion that we accept 2023-SPFP-0 as complete.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second that.
Jeff North seconded. Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Any abstentions? The ayes have it. It is complete. Okay. Now, you are,
I'm Rick Warlick, I'm with Osgood Construction.
okay, and he's presenting for you, or does it matter? Whoever's presenting can give us a lowdown on what's going on.
Tell them where the building's
Yeah.
going and so on, and then I'll take any questions.
I had the building right over beside it, which you all know about, and I sold that, and I was gonna retire and go to Claremont and run a smaller business. I had a heart operation, a back operation, and I feel pretty good, so I said, well, we'll go back over there and try it again. The building is 36 by 55. It's all metal. I do have, you said they got this.
Absolutely, yes, and more in the, whatever packet I gave you, and a lot, yeah.
So, I mean, it's a pretty simple building.
Did you have a site layout where it was positioned on the lot?
Yes.
There are photos that I took of the stakes that were put in at the back of the lot, kind of if you count it as a rectangle.
But there's no physical paper, there's no plot?
No, I kind of drew it out on the map.
Is that this one here with the
That is, absolutely, and then didn't I do and then here I did a map drawing. There's lots of pictures, and then here's the building, gravel, grass, gravel, and then the and the photos kind of help. At least I think they do. But that is it. I think I took a comment.
So it meets all the setbacks.
Yes. The setbacks for, oh boy, I better, Jeff, let me look them up while you guys are reviewing.
Where's the septic going?
That's what I wanted to see.
So this, that's the back? That's the front of the
This
property?
plan we're looking at here Yes, is in the that's plan, and it should be.
Did I not, does he have something? Oh, that's his septic design. I didn't have a copy of that. I just had that it was approved, the design was approved for construction.
Okay.
Yeah, but I didn't, Dennis, I told him to bring it. I'm not required to get a copy of the design, even though it's helpful. Me, my,
It's going out back left. From, it's 200 feet away from the front road.
So, back when we did the lot approval for the grass parking and all that, I think the surveyor did a plan for that? Or my memory
I believe so,
receiving,
yes.
right? Tom Dabrowski did the plan, I believe?
This
Do
is
we have-
Tom's. That's
So this is Tom's, that landscape or that lot plan was
right.
Tom's.
Yes.
I think it's worth getting a composite site plan with all, merge the documents. So you could take that previous site plan that he did, have him put the building on it, put the septic location on it, this here on it, so that it's a better plan than this. Okay.
I thought that would be what you'd be looking for right there, where it tells you all your footage and stuff like that.
Well, that gives you the perimeter lot. What I'm getting at is the location of the building
On the lot.
tied to the septic. And then
So
there's
the
this-
Mylar will
And then there's a,
show it.
That's a proposed well? That's not a well that's there, is it?
No,
Yeah.
so that should get recorded on the deed. And as much in a case where if you sold it later, those covenants would go with that. So the next buyer would have it, okay? At least from my chair, that's one thing that I would.
This is on the same lot. This is all the same lot, isn't it?
Yeah, but there's still no measurements to the lot lines or.
Right, so this one gives you, we have a definitive lot.
So the property line's within 75.
Right, but this plan isn't in the package. All this is a state approval,
Yeah.
which is fine for that, but it's not this.
Yeah.
Okay. And like I said, Tom's already done the footwork, so putting that plan together would be pretty easy.
How many feet is it,
I think it's plenty big enough.
Dennis, how many feet is it from the side property line to the building?
To the church or to my
No,
whole
to your
building?
property line. Your property line, your side property line to the building.
It's basically the setback off the,
Well, yeah, I think it's well within the setback, it's just
Yeah,
determined.
well, my point is, I guess, do we really need it?
The setbacks for RC
That's what I'm asking.
is 100 front yard,
Right.
which he meets that.
Right.
50 side yard, 50 on each side yard, 50 on each side and 50 on the rear, which that's one of the
So that should.
strongest
So I mean, the
setbacks.
things-
Yeah, you gotta have it.
Wide.
Yeah, so you must,
So it's only 36 wide.
Right, it's 400, the lot's 400 feet wide, so there's.
Oh, okay, good, I just wanted to
But
tell you the,
With the well, I can't tell from here if it goes off the lot or not.
is it in the center of the lot, Dennis?
The well?
No, the
The
building.
building.
it's probably deceiving
No, it's
because
not.
this square drawn on here is so much bigger.
Yeah,
If it
yeah.
was really drawn to scale, that'd be a little teeny square probably, so. it
Yeah.
ma-
So-
it
yeah,
makes
that's
it-
me, sorry, Jen,
this
that's
where-
not to scale.
But
Is
it
this
just makes it look like,
replacing that box trailer you're using now?
My office trailer?
Yeah,
Yes.
it's okay.
That's gotta come out.
I don't pay attention.
So he's got a-
I-
In fact, hang on.
There might be a
One these
photo
shows.
of it.
See this?
Yeah,
Which is
yeah.
like 3 lines back, so it's replacing that. But I just think, to your benefit, and I hate to put this back on you, but to your benefit, having that composite plan fits your needs a lot better. Like I said, if you want to retire, sell it and retire, when you go to sell it, you're gonna have it to do it, So I think, and we can do it, I would be willing to do it conditional based on getting that plan,
Yeah.
okay?
I don't have a problem with it.
So,
Yeah, because we require the Mylar to be filed anyway, so we never
Yeah,
have a
This is-
Mylar
this-
done
You
until
don't need a
after.
Mylar.
No,
for this.
no
This
Mylar
is-
for
This
this.
is just a building
Why it's
permit.
commercial.
We require your approval, we require engineer, nothing is filed at the Sullivan County Registry of Deeds for site plans.
This is just site plan review for a building permit, right?
For a building, yes, for a new business in town.
Okay,
No, like,
okay.
Commercial, they do that. We haven't done a lot of them in the past, but
yeah.
Yeah, usually
But
it all
what- but
comes-
what's-
it all comes together.
I
in
think
one.
we just do it as a condition and get the plan and.
right, but the condition there meets setbacks because, I mean, you can draw it here, but all of a sudden you go and you look, and I'm not saying you're doing that, but you can say, well, it just went up 25 feet from the border, and we don't have anything actually throwing dimensions. I would even, like for me, kind of just drawn on here, and if you took a measuring tape out there and just at least measured it basically and said it's going
Yeah.
to go
Christina, did you check the setbacks when you were there?
I did not get out and check the setbacks when it was raining. When I do any building permits, the contractor or the owner, it's there at the end, because I'm not a surveyor. For me to even, and I tell people, if you don't know, give yourself a big buffer. Because if I get into, oh yeah, this is accurate, because since we don't have little blue lines showing, yeah, I don't, but I can judge easily enough. Yes, I can usually do good judgment.
So in the
People-
past, when I've come in for site plan review on a building I was doing, we just always did a plan similar to this, but we always, in the building permit, it has a thing saying how many feet
Yes.
to this side, how many feet to that side,
Correct.
how many feet to that side. And that covers it in the building permit in this case. So I just don't-
And we really do stress, obviously, from any little person putting in a shed, because I don't want them to have issues later. It's not me just trying to be difficult. I want to make sure that's a big stressor, is the setbacks.
So when Dennis fills out the application for the building permit, which he probably already has,
Yes,
did you put it says right in that application how many feet to each setback.
It's already done it.
it's here. That
That's
was
like-
done, it should, Alan went and did it, and then it had to be
Okay.
held. So, and, no,
It's not done.
no, so we'll have to get that, it's not done on it. It's not done on it, yeah. We kind of stopped everything even though Alan
I
had,
mean, this is not a,
No, like I said, I'm willing to just do it as a,
Yeah, there's a spot right
as
here
an item, yeah.
that has to be filled in, so.
It's very basic, but we'll just,
And as I said,
We're gonna
I'm
get
saying it
provisional.
as much for you as I am for us getting it right as well. You know, I don't wanna hold you up getting through this, but I think we should have that. We should get that.
it would be very easy for me. I typically, I'm not supposed to necessarily assist, but I assist people a lot because you know that the driveway is the end of that driveway is the edge of that property, at least on the one side. On the other side, I don't know how. Although there must be markers on the property from Tom's work.
Are you folks under GIS on the computer?
Yes, but that's not supposedly survey, even though I will say it's incredible. I've never seen when it's been done a survey on a property that was unsurveyed. I've never seen more than a half a foot, inch, you know what I mean? Very close, based on the deeds. It's very accurate, but
I think the building's gonna be far from the,
Site plan.
far enough from the,
Site plan.
from the property line that it won't make.
I think everyone is aware of that. I think it's just a matter, they're just not notated.
Right.
So, you know, you just kind of set a
and
precedent,
I
you
don't
don't
know
do
how
one.
to notate it with, to make sure because I saw it, I just didn't,
Yeah.
I can't
We've
see
done
the
these
property
before,
lines.
like the-
You know what I mean? I
Again,
wish we had all these glowing lights that we could click on, then that would make life
Oh, yeah.
easy, you know what I
It
mean?
always had those setbacks.
Well, it should be when we check the box on here.
So that's why I'm like, I'm okay with it. As long as the setbacks are good.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
that's the point. Which, all you gotta do is go take a measurement
Yeah.
and make sure the application for the building permit is done, right? Simple as that in my mind.
Absolutely, it's gotta be documented somewhere before anything is started, that everything meets the bounds.
Okay.
Anything else?
So, yeah,
You got anything, Jeff?
So, getting back to that, so item 11 in our checklist, layout of sewage disposal system, including septic tanks, leach field, everything. So, we have state approval, I get that. However, we should have a site plan that meets that.
That has it, like, yeah, you could drive, what would be good, right, print out the lot and have it put onto scale.
Take
Yeah.
this.
A few
and superimpose
things,
it.
yes.
And if Tom did
That
this
would
and he
be
did that
perfect
other plan, it's very
for
easy
us.
for him to lay it over and be done with it.
Yep.
And then it meets and then we're good.
And we see it, and then we know what we're looking at too when we go to
Yeah.
inspect, or you know what you're.
So, just in the future, on item 11 on the checklist,
Yes,
it says septic. and
Septic
everything
on it.
On the plan.
I
Okay.
wasn't aware necessarily of the septic, I think till you brought it, or maybe I brought it up the other day when we were talking,
Yeah.
so yes, I should have,
Right.
I need to hand the site, yes, I need to get that set,
Okay.
yes, absolutely.
Any other questions before I open it to the public?
No, are we gonna do the building?
So what do you, so it's, well,
No, go ahead. I mean, it's a, well, go ahead. I'll say that.
it's a 36 by 55 foot building, 14 foot eaves. It's pre-engineered metal building, so it'll come stamped from Hardco Pruden. Septic plan will be done by a structural engineer. That'll have a stamp on it. We don't do a foundation plan until the building is ordered, and it's been ordered. What we got to do is just wait for the reactions and the anchor rod plan. As soon as I get that, I hand it to my structural engineer, and he starts drawing it up. And then I just, usually I give those prints, both those prints after, to the building inspector. Make sure he has those on file.
Is there any perimeter drainage going in?
So we'll have some, we'll have, what we'll do is do it basically by grade, because there's no foundation to this, and it's a 4-foot frost wall.
Yeah, slab
Right.
on that.
And, while 6 inches above the finished slab. And then basically just grade away from it. It's the biggest thing. So putting any drainage in is really out in that field. You know, it's already on gravel, so, sand.
Very good. Any other questions?
You mentioned downcast lighting at the entries.
Yeah, so over the doorways, we always put downcast lighting. So any of the entry doorways, usually the garage doors.
Because we have had a problem with people meeting that requirement. They think it's downcast or soft light. Well,
Yeah.
there's a difference.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. No,
We
I know.
require the sharp cutoff.
Yep, yep,
So that there's nothing above 180 degrees from the light source.
right. Yeah,
Okay.
I noticed that a little bit from the parking lot next door.
That
Yeah.
Carolina.
I think
Yeah.
so.
Well, we talked about that. Unfortunately, you're coming up at it at some point,
Right.
so you're going to see some of it. But
Right.
the one at United Auto Sales was the one that was even worse.
Right.
The big old-fashioned
Did the
spot.
Carvana get fixed? I know it's a side note.
I don't see where it got aimed at all.
I was told, because we stopped permitting, and they said that they went and just shut, that those things have just been shut off. The
Yeah, they're
lighting.
still there. They can be turned back
Oh,
on.
absolutely, but they can't till they fix it. Or we'll
I-
shut it off
I don't
again.
recall
Yeah, they're
having seen
breaking.
them on.
I know, so they somehow, I don't know why they couldn't get someone to go up, but I was told it was shut off. We stopped production up there for a while, so I'll double check that.
Yeah.
I know, but they have not solved it. Carvana is also pulled out, from what I hear, or Dennis.
Really.
So maybe shutting them off is a good
They
idea.
took all their computers out and everything.
So what happened? I mean, they spent a lot of money on asphalt and,
And the lighting.
It's the first time I ever did business with a big company, and there's no communications,
yeah.
zero.
Just cut their losses and move on.
So you sold that to them, right?
Yes, yeah, and I had to, go through the realtors, what do you want me to leave? It was just,
Did you get it back?
pardon me?
You getting it back from them? or-
No, because they're building a new
That storage is there.
storage.
Oh, that storage is theirs, okay.
Okay. Well, I will open it to the public for anybody who'd like to speak for or against. Seeing no one, we'll come back to the board. What's your pleasure?
I'll make a motion that we accept 2023-SPFP-0 with the following two conditions. Number one, that the statement, reaffirming the statement from the applicant that we're doing downcast lighting at the entry doors,
And on the rest,
sharp cutoff, excuse me.
and on the rest of the property too, right? 'Cause
There's
there
no
is-
proposal here at all for,
There
So
is
just the
lighting.
We already did the rest of the property, didn't we?
I took pictures, but I think it is downcast. I took there's lighting already on the property.
Didn't we do the
right,
rest
we
of the
did that
property
as part
like
of
2
the
years
grass.
ago?
Yeah,
It's
that's,
solar lighting,
Oh,
so when you go by, it comes on, and then it stays
Oh.
on for
The
10
second
seconds,
one
and
is-
goes back on.
and the second one is
okay.
a combined site plan showing septic, building, setbacks, etc.
Yes, yeah, driveway,
Yeah, you can call it composite site plan, whatever you want to call it.
so building, septic,
Also
well,
that, Prosky.
downcast, sharp cutoff.
So you're all right with getting that, Dennis?
Pardon me?
You're all right with getting that from Tom?
Yes, oh yeah.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, it's a couple overlays, and I think you can spit it right out.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Sure, I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Any abstentions? The ayes have it.
Good.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Hopefully the tenant comes through for you.
Have a good evening.
You too, thank you.
Thank you.
Did you get the exact wording?
Oh, gee.
That's all right. Oh, no, that's all right. Just,
I
yeah,
signed
Dave,
it.
that's all right. There, she signed it, that works.
I was gonna get
I have to do it there too. And I could, yeah. And then,
Okay. Our next order of business is the minutes for June. Did anybody see any errors or omissions or typos?
So, as I look at the minutes, on page 2, we talked about, Christina, you getting us a list of the variances?
Yeah, the book itself.
No, the variances that had been issued.
For tiny houses.
Yeah, we actually should get, anytime there's a variance issued, we should get a notice of that as a board.
Just regardless of if it's commercial or not commercial.
Just so we
Anything that changes, because we'll be shooting in the dark and we won't know what we're talking about.
Oh, no, you guys make the changes to the zoning variances, but
No,
you mean zoning.
so if the zoning board
They issue.
they issue a variance, we just need to get notification that zoning board issued this variance.
Absolutely.
So if either we're talking about an issue or we're questioning about an issue, we can say,
I can easily do, like, for example, this coming meeting, I have 6 cases. I think 3 are variances, 3 are special exceptions. So I can just literally give the agenda on approved or declined, approved and declined, and bring it the next, and you can read exactly, and
or
then
just, or you
and the
can put it in
minutes.
an email and say, as of X zoning meeting, these variances have been issued,
Oh, sure,
right? That way we've just at least seen them
yeah,
and have a general understanding of what we gave away
yes,
in our ordinance.
yes, like, yeah.
I would prefer you bring them to the meeting, but you could bring them to the meeting.
I could do either. I could do an attachment, you know, under the minutes.
Oh, please.
It's just good, it's
Yeah.
just, it's
Yeah.
information.
You can read it, right.
I don't always read my emails.
I know, the emails like were a full-time job, I know.
I read them all.
There was actually a lot of stuff, well, you're going over the minutes, but yes, I could do, okay, so let me,
And that would at least keep us in the know, and we don't have any input on those.
I could compile pretty easily, although I will say, I shouldn't throw this out there. Generally, what most of them are over a span of time. Although I was, so I'll do it at least, it's easy enough. I only know of 2 variance requests that were ever in my tenure that have been turned down. Now, some of that might be the board itself being very reasonable. Another thing might be people have asked me for things, or not asked, they can go for anything to the board. But I've told some people, you're allowed to go, but I don't think that would fly with the board. I don't think I've never heard of anyone getting whatever that is. Typically, it's 2 separate homes on one property. Although you're going to tell me there's tons of those. I know you're going to look at me like that, but that's not, I haven't given one, and I might have to chase other people, but that's typically where I've kind of been like, I've never heard of that happening without a subdivision, so, I know, yeah.
So that board's gonna do what they choose to do,
Yes,
whether we agree with it or not?
of course. So I was just making the statement so I could easily compile the amount of setback variances that have been approved over the years or whatever. But I'll start bringing them. That's easy enough. The zoning board is always seen after the planning board, so you would see in August you'll see the July's answers. In September you'd see the August results.
Well, so in that case, if we're seeing a case, all of their variances or special exceptions should be weighed out before we see it.
Oh, if it's commercial, yes, of course. I thought you meant you wanted.
Anytime.
Even on,
Any case that we see, if there's pending variance or special,
Oh,
we
right.
shouldn't even see it. Shouldn't even
But
come
don't you
back.
typically see commercial cases, not residential? So that's why I was.
For site plan review, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like I said, if there's any question, we shouldn't see it at all until they're done with it.
Absolutely, that's never happened. Never. Oh, actually, that's not true. Once that we were backwards, and the person was going, and I forget if you guys even delayed it, the person was going for a variance and saw you first, but I
Well,
think
that was the,
that all fell
micro
apart,
lots.
yeah.
So in the past, I haven't said anything about it, but I've seen commercial buildings in the town of Newport that never came for site plan review. That have gone through the cracks.
So
had
which
that.
one, like, could you just state one for me, so that I'd be like, yeah, like one?
well, I know David brought it up, I brought it up to Christina that we have to see all those, and that's been in recent 6 months maybe, right?
Well, no, I've been doing it since.
I may have missed it, but what about the Solid Hill building down here?
Okay, so what's interesting about that was right when I came here. And I actually referred to the town manager on that one, because I think Ken, one of the first meetings, and that was when I was taking, like, someone quit up and left like 3 weeks after I got here. And I agree, we never saw I was told, and I was told that because it was built on the exact footprint of the old,
It's a building permit.
well, guess what this is? United did it, so is that a good
Well,
enough answer?
Yeah, so I
being
questioned it,
facetious.
and it was a
Right.
replacement on the existing
Yeah, I know
building.
I'm being facetious.
I know what you're being.
And it was wrong.
And I questioned it too, and we also, I know who did that wall, and I've never seen, and I also had issues
Engineered
inspecting that building because it has no fire, anything. They don't even have a stick-up smoke detector. But United did the building.
I'm just saying that
That one,
I have seen in the
that one
last 5
absolutely-
years,
so is there
buildings that
another?
I felt were commercial, that I say, man, I'm
That
on the
we
planning
never
board. I don't remember being there when that came,
That one,
but,
yeah.
but I miss things too, because I'm not here all the time. So,
Well, I
Well,
wish
we
you,
both said it, and we questioned that.
you did, I
We said
remember.
adamantly, we need to see every commercial building at a minute, you know.
And I
I've
believe
even brought my own personal garages.
No, we need to see it, no doubt.
that was discussed, and I was really, new, and I probably should have just said, no, why don't we just have United go see the planning board regardless? Just cover the bases.
And again, I'm not picking on anybody, you
No,
asked
it's
for an
fine.
example.
That one's absolutely. If you do know of others, though, I think you should tell me, because we could, if we had to, I could make them do an after the fact. I don't know, but if there was something egregious,
I just don't feel like it's my job to
absolutely
police
not.
certain things in this town. And I don't want to be known as the person that polices
Well, that's
certain
true.
things
It's
in
my
this town,
job to-
because
right.
I own businesses in this town,
No,
and I
you're
don't
right.
want that
And I
on
wouldn't,
me.
I absolutely, and it's my job to make sure that doesn't go through. I just am trying to think of a commercial structure, and if it is missed, that would be totally under my department.
And
Now,
I'm not picking on you, I'm just saying
we
that.
can.
Um,
I mean, I am supposed to see every permit. Last year when I was out on shoulder surgery, and I don't blame Alan. I mean, I can't believe Alan did what he did by himself for 2 months. But there were a few like electrical permits that electricity got turned on to land, like, and
sticker,
it was
yeah.
just a mistake, and we had to go back and get it was a nightmare. And then of course because it was to nothingness. And so, we can obviously make mistakes.
But that's not on you, you guys know either that, they
That's
should have
Eversource.
never hooked it up without a sticker in that box.
Right, I know. Well, it was when I was away, and Alan was like like I said.
I get it, you know,
He
things
answered,
fall
yeah.
through the cracks, I get it, but.
Oh, not to
And I'm not
change the
picking on you.
subject, but on building permits and all that, has the one on Bascom Road been corrected at 160? or
Okay,
whatever
wait a
it is?
minute. Let's remind me of what's.
Just above Chestnut, they put in a new modular, and they put in a slab for a garage,
septic.
and then now they're out back putting in septics.
Okay.
And they just had the well trucks in there.
Yes.
The drilling wells. Has that been
So,
abated?
so this is interesting with this property. I've gotten numerous complaints from the residents that live around there, one of which, a acting town manager, I think, lives across the street. They permitted for all their modular home. They do have some violations on that property that they're aware
Is
of.
it modular or is it?
No, I apologize. Manufactured, it's a
manufactured.
manufactured home. I apologize.
Oh, sorry.
It's a
Double wide.
mobile home. It's a,
It's
yes.
not a modular home then. It's
No,
I know, I apologize, you're right. I apologize. It's manufactured home.
On a slab.
Honestly. And they put in an illegal driveway, which is Public Works doing that, going after that. That slab on the side, I've been told by Alan that you do not need a permit for a slab if you're going to just park things on it. But you do need a permit if you're going to put buildings on it, which they are, and they've been made aware of that. And then they haven't
Building
permitted.
design matches what you're.
They haven't permitted for the pool that's on the property, that's in violation. The well and the septics, or the septic has been approved, the second septic on the property I've investigated, has been approved by DES, and I've received all the paperwork. So, this is an odd situation. You could have a piece of land and put 80 wells and septics on it, but you then can't do anything else. So I have no idea what they're doing, but they cannot build something else back there until they get. So right now, in theory, they haven't done anything wrong. But who would put in a septic and a well on one property?
Somebody
They
that's
would.
not from the area and thinks they can get away with it.
Right, building a second structure.
Right, but they can't. If they start doing that, that's
It's the
the
first-
point. I can put a.
Cease and desist.
Yes, that's when, and with no one is allowed to construct anything else.
Was the lot originally developed like within the last 2 years?
Yes.
Was it 2 years or
So
5
that
years?
was the one that was for sale right across from Naylor's?
Yes.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
For a couple of weeks.
Nailers
and he
between
couldn't-
Wilson's
He couldn't get,
and-
I thought that one you couldn't put a mobile home on it.
That's in the rural dish.
No, that was a deed restriction on it.
I don't know.
It might be. I'm not sure about that.
It's a manufactured home.
I looked at it.
Or it's easier to say mall, right? When I say manufacturer.
So
Well,
up until the next step, they take the next step, then you.
Right. And everyone's, and I agree. What they're like, I don't have anything to go after.
Have they been warned that,
So,
you know?
Yes,
you're gonna
actually,
just sit on
Alan,
it, just
Alan has
spend
spoken
money?
to them, and they won't really. And I've warned them about they've had a lot of other violations that they said they were going to come in and rectify, like after the fact permitting. There you have to. They have a new pool that we're told about. They didn't permit for that. So there's quite a few violations on that.
technical question. You
Yeah.
got an approved septic design, based on what?
Someone designed it, and it was submitted to the state.
Based on single, 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom?
Oh, I don't know. I could look into it. Right, that's a good point. The
'Cause
second
that-
one.
That could get you back to, okay, this particular manufactured home is on a septic with this. Is that septic designed for that, or is it for this, and you're gonna build a house on this?
The manufactured home has a brand new septic. They just built, right,
I'm
But
just asking a question.
does it?
yeah.
Is it,
If it's a 3-bedroom,
right, is it a bathroom in the garage, in a garage you're gonna put up? Is it a lot of money for one little bathroom?
And a well.
See what I'm
Say that
saying?
this suddenly has a
They had
living room
to-
in it and a kitchen.
When you do a septic, you have to do it based on a certain.
Absolutely,
design.
bedroom size. I can find that out. It's online too, but I had printed it out.
So, anyhow,
Size of septic. So in essence, besides which they need to come in and do, is do the permitting after the fact for a number of things. The slab, the
Well-
sheds, and the pool.
so, like if you're gonna do a building on that slab or foundation, quote unquote,
They're not allowed, right? We didn't inspect.
whoever's designing that building needs to chase it all the way to earth.
Because we never
And it
inspected
may
it.
meet or may not.
Right.
there an address?
Same problem we had with that bridge when it was put in over at the Ruger Range. We couldn't accept it because there was no way to find out who designed it, what it was designed for.
You remember that? That was Sean Carroll coming on that one. Wanted to put a big.
Well, and it's still listed as a temporary structure.
Yeah.
You couldn't put a development or something out there without
Yeah.
fixing that bridge. Or getting somebody to put a stamp on it, which,
Was that Sean Carroll Senior or Junior?
Senior was in here, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah, it was a while ago.
It was a long time
A
ago.
long while ago.
So what were you gonna say, Ray? You were gonna say something? I thought you were just gonna. So yeah, it's the after the fact permits are kind of minor. I'm allowed to double the base rate of whatever they are. So they're probably at about $100, and then the regular permit fees.
Okay,
So it's kind of minor, but yes, it all looks
okay.
very bizarre.
okay. So getting back to the minutes, we talked about, I mean, nothing to do with approving the minutes, but we did talk about having some kind of a joint session with zoning board to talk about variances and special exceptions.
Yeah.
Because I had a conversation with outgoing and incoming town manager, and they both agreed that they're pretty gratuitous.
There's so many areas that you could tighten up to you, or potentially loosen up. I actually spoke to someone the other day, and I've gotten a few phone calls on fencing. And I've never thought about fencing much, but people, I guess, are getting pretty upsetting about fencing, and we have no zoning in regards to fencing, and we might not want to. And this gentleman actually sent me some zoning from another town on fencing, which I kind of think it's ridiculous. Like it's ridiculous how much oversight. But we don't have any. So I was even thinking you could have an open forum on if anyone was willing to come in to give what the town people think.
Well, this is hens, chickens, all that stuff again.
If we don't have a ordinance per se for fencing, doesn't it revert back to federal
Well, yeah, or
guideline?
well, it reverts back to like you mean by like we have to follow if you build 7 feet or under it doesn't require a permit. 7 feet or over it does. You are allowed to put a fence on a property line, but you have to know. We tell everyone it should be a few feet back, if not more, so you can get in and out. But we don't. People are talking about which way you put your fence up, and people are pretty upset about people putting. They're calling me and saying you have to have the ugly side in towards that, and I say I know I agree. Why would anyone put the ugly? Where you do all the work on it.
Right, the ugly side has to face the property owner's side.
But there's no rule. We don't have any rule on that.
Yeah, 'cause I know when I did that in Claremont, it was like
There was a
see,
rule
they-
on
they-
it.
Rule.
They've
They
got
had
a
a
rule.
We don't
Right.
have. But
They got
who
way
would
too
put
many.
the ugly?
They got way too
Don't you
much.
want your
I'm not
yard
big-
to
I'm not
look?
a big
But I
rule
It
guess
is in the eye of the beholder, too. Remember that.
1973.
That's true. Absolutely. So we don't have that. That's absolutely right, Ken. So then, I do think we should have a. Would you want to do that before or after your meeting? Maybe sometime. Would that be the easiest?
It
See if
doesn't have to be something extremely long. We're not trying to rewrite everything. We just want to see what their thought
We
process
want an
is.
open dialect.
Absolutely. And I think that, like we were gonna, like I need to get you guys copies, and I'll make those all the copies. But I was thinking we should just start going through it while we're going through the master plan, because a lot of things haven't been changed for 40 years. Is the 80s, and that seems like a long time when you say it. That doesn't seem long ago to me, but that's 40 years. Nothing's been changed.
Right, but when we talk about variances and special exceptions, I mean, our role is to have a set of site plan guidelines and follow them.
Absolutely.
And without any input, we're giving it away at a different level, and then our hands are tied.
right.
That's my point.
Well then that discussion, fine. I thought you meant just collaborate on either tightening up you discussing why are we giving it, that's them, yes, and we can work on that, yes.
As we talked about last time, my understanding of a variance, the bar to get those should be next to impossible. Okay?
Do you think that when a variance is going to be considered, that it should be then, prior to final decision, should be discussed with planning board as well? Is that,
I like that position myself.
I know.
you know?
You know,
They should, like, we would go to Conservation Commission
right.
to get their input. I would think that they would be reciprocal with us to get our input on.
So we can say why that might be an issue on our end when they grant a variance.
Isn't that
But I
like
mean,
pollution
when you
then,
look
Ron?
at a variance, it
No,
says
it's,
you gotta meet the
Yeah,
five
what it
or
feels
however
like.
many criteria. It's,
So-
why are you getting it? Because you wanted just to walk out your back door and be there, not walk 25 feet over?
Right.
Well, if they're giving that, they're giving away on the wrong precept.
well,
you
and
know?
it's precedent setting.
It's precedent, that's the
And
worst.
then pretty quick,
You're,
Might as well not even have
you're supposed to be granted a variance based on, it's that fifth question, that there has to be something very unique about your land that doesn't allow you to not request this and do something relatively minor. Because you can't ask for a setback variance where you get no setback, because then there's danger to someone hitting that, whatever reason. But
Or
it's
road
supposed to
frontage
be,
variance.
a lot of times it's topography, or a lot of the variants are given in the R1 and the R2 district, that some of the plots are .10, and no, and they have very little wiggle room, and typically they don't ask for much. They ask for like a 5-foot reprieve or something. But I could read what some of these are just to give, and these are very, like, the first is a special exception. Oh, we'll say, so special exceptions are allowed uses, forget that, so let's forget those. The variance is, okay, so someone would like to allowed to have a duplex in the rural zone, and duplexes are not allowed.
Well, they're not allowed.
Right.
Yeah, once you do, you set the precedent.
Right.
Now they're allowed everywhere. One guy gets to do it. And,
Now, they are basing it on topography, because there's like a back slope off, but so that's one, let's just say, so let's say that's one. And then you'll now know if that kind of, so let me go to the other, I think I have. Okay, so then we have, request a variance, to allow for an ADU that is detached from the main home, which is not allowed. It has to either be ADUs or only have to be encompassed within or attached next to. This is a unique property where, I don't know if anyone knows it, it's 40 Unity Road. They've got the home and then they've got this huge garage sitting next to it. Well, the previous homeowners went and put their own septic and well on the garage in thinking that they were going to do an ADU, and then when this guy came in with permitting for an ADU, I told him it's not allowed in a detached structure.
We subdivided it.
Yeah.
that's the one that we subdivided, that's why.
That gets
It's on its
subdivided,
own
so
lot
you should
now.
be good to go.
No, but this is on one property, 40, this,
But we thought we had a case where we subdivided.
that was another Unity property, the barn with the house.
That's
No,
not the one.
this is across the street, and I think the houses are brown, they're really large.
Oh, yeah, Avery.
Yeah, this is,
Oh,
and
one is right
he
next
was,
to
Gordon's house.
he was
Yeah.
actually really upset with me, saying, how dare you say I can't do, I go, we don't allow it. I'm not saying for you to require, and then he goes, we bought this with a septic and its own well. And I'm like,
It doesn't have a
I don't-
well, does it? Has to have water.
oh, okay, so it's 2 septics on the property.
you know.
Yeah, and I'm like, I can't let you do it. So that's the second one, okay, that they're going for. I don't know if you guys feel that would be reasonable, considering, I don't know. Then, okay, so here we go, request a variance. Oh, well, this one, request a variance from Article 2, Section 206B.5, which is requiring in the Kellyville zone that you cannot subdivide a property less than 40,000 square feet. and someone wants to, actually, they're not subdividing it, they're doing a lot line adjustment, which you will see if this gets approved. Two lots sit next to each other, and the person that owns both the lots wants to sell the one with the house on it, but they want to take half of that house's property and merge it to their front lot. So they want most of the land, but they'd like to sell the house. And and I will say they're only leaving 26,000 square feet on the property as it is. Tom Dombrowski's gone out there and pegged it out in general ways. And it's 3 Blood Road. So they're requesting to, and I will say there are other properties, they must have been pre-1955, that are much smaller than 40,000 right in that area. And that property doesn't matter, the zoning board gets to decide, but it has this huge 340-foot road frontage. So even if you took like the back 18 square feet, no one would necessarily, there is a look that it wouldn't make it look weird aesthetically, because I think a lot of times we don't want all these little pea-sized things. But I don't know whether it will pass or not. Because
We shouldn't probably be talking about this.
No, I mean,
well, it's not going to affect, well, we're not online, and it's not going to affect, oh, we are ready to,
Yeah.
it's not, it's,
I mean, this case could come to us.
oh, that one could. But then once it's done,
It's all right.
you can't do
We're
anything.
getting all the same knowledge.
Let's move back on to the minutes.
Okay.
I think we were just discussing whether this, I know we got into particular cases, but we really were discussing it, when there's a variance
I would,
being considered, should this board also weigh in on that prior to it? Like, great, we just told you just gave a variance, well,
That's
we're gonna
after
weigh
the
in,
fact.
it's done. I mean, so
Yeah.
I wouldn't think that, other than, I don't know if it's ever possible to have zoning and planning be the same board. I don't know if that's a
no,
dumb
that's
thing,
done in places.
Is it really the exact same humans?
Just
Oh, well, then
It's
I
a
would,
small town. I mean, it's
Yeah.
done. But
I mean, it feels
just to
like-
be asked and considered, and it's informational, just like Conservation Commission is
so
informational.
let me think this through.
Yeah.
Hold on. My deadline for the ZBA is I think not, is always prior to your meetings. So I could potentially get you all their cases prior to them making their decision for you to comment on. Now, the one thing is, they couldn't listen. I don't think they're supposed to listen. They're not, no, maybe they are.
I think if
don't
we
think it's
started
a-
with just the conversation about it, back and forth
Right.
between boards.
Right.
That's what you wanted to
We reckon,
discuss.
we see this as a problem, can we talk about it?
Yes.
And what's
these
the word?
cases could come to us right after that. I just don't see this. It'd be
No,
like
I mean, all we're doing is looking at the rule.
we'd already be commenting on something that's going to be coming to us down the road. No way.
But don't you
As
have
long
to?
as everybody gets the same information, it doesn't matter how much or how little information we get, but it has to be available to all the board members. It
I
cannot
don't
be,
agree, Dave.
Ex parte.
This case
Could
could be
negatively
presented to
affect
us.
someone's decision making, their decision making. Let me figure. But what I think we can start with is inviting the ZBA or these. You either go to discuss at the yes. I do believe, and I can find this out legally. What I've been told with the ZBA is they do not have any dialogue like you do. The open forum at the end. The only time you can speak at their meetings, if it's in regard to directly a case that is being heard at that meeting, you can't bring up past vote, because that's happened and they've said we cannot hear it. Then I've told them, like these people that have gotten upset, I've said you could go to the planning board or you could go to BOS to complain about something. Because they'd probably have to come here because they have no dialogue forum like you do. Now, I don't know if that's a legal thing or not. Does that make sense? But I could invite them here.
We're headed down a rabbit hole.
No, we're not.
Yeah, I think we are.
Okay, I make a motion that we accept the June 13, 2023 minutes as presented.
Second.
we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Any abstentions? The ayes have it. Next order of business is master plan.
Continued, which was us basically just talking about, moving forward. And when I gave everyone books, did everyone take, I think everyone took their master plan books home with them, right?
I think so.
Should they stay, do we want them to stay here? Do we want everyone, like I know Jeff would need a new one to start scratching, or do we want them to stay here so when we're talking about them, people have their own?
If you got them, bring them. I mean, if you,
I think I gave you guys all copies.
Yeah, I
I
think
just
so.
wondered, did you bring them home? Or I can make new ones. They're 200 pages, but I can skip a lot of the stuff at the end. It was all the survey
You don't
information.
need all that.
Okay, so let me just reprint everyone that.
How hefty of a package is the Heritage one that Biddy brought last week? Or last month?
That is not that hefty, and I should have printed. I was gonna say I didn't get. The only thing I really got to on this was you guys asked about the 79E information. I brought that and some of these other requests. I think we might have to go over again that are in the minutes because I don't quite understand them. I do understand the tiny house one. I did not get to that either, pulling all the tiny houses. I know of two off the top of my head. 309 Maple, there's a tiny house, it's now presently been removed. That was there for a couple years, and then there's the new one on,
Johnston.
And that was a variance we were looking to read.
oh, you just wanted to read the minutes from that. Oh, then didn't you want the minutes from all of them given in the rationale? Yeah, so there were 6 in town, one's been removed, so now we're back down to 5. And I know of the other one. It's a military guy on, I think it's on Chestnut, down from Pike Hill. I know where his is too. So let me get the minutes and the rationale on all of them. I think part of the rationale, from my understanding, is, and this again goes through you, is that people are believing, and I shouldn't speak for the ZBA, but that there's a different way of people wanting to live, and that houses smaller than 600 square feet are lived in by, hundreds of thousands of people, where 40 years ago, no one even heard of that concept, living in a, so that's, I think, part of their rationale.
I think there's a difference between a small house and a small house that's sitting on wheels. It looks like it can be towed away with a trailer. And I know you're supposed to take it off.
You are.
But when it's not taken off, then it looks like your mobile home made out of wood that you made in your backyard and you're ready to go camping. So
that house was made by that person, but that person also hasn't received, and I know you guys all say you're living in it, we have to do the final inspection on that, and we can't until she removes it, puts it on the slab with her, so we can't do it until.
But if you go through a variance for that, I built a tiny house because I wanted to, not a condition for variance. It's all I could afford, not a condition for
Nope,
variance.
money is not a condition, nope.
Is it a non-conforming lot that fit? For that one, I can understand that, where that
It was
logic
broached.
went.
It was
But
hard to get a septic on it, it was hard to get,
Well, hard and impossible are two different things.
absolutely.
The one at the airport, they're gonna build the building, I got a variance for 3 feet up in the sky to meet, that should have been a flat no, because you could redesign that site and drop it and
I know,
been done.
I know.
And that, there again, money, it was a lot of work, all of which are not in the 5 questions, okay?
I don't think they mentioned money, because I know they can't mention money.
It's not a,
But they
Conversation.
made a comment, there was arguing back and forth, and I think Bert was one that said, you can't, come on, all the engineers are here, you can't drop it 3 feet, grading, just grading. And they fought that, I agree.
I would have fought tooth and nail with him if I'd have been here.
No, I mean, the Avenue fought that they couldn't do it, I don't know. Again, though, right, I did it for, right, I know.
Anyways.
But I have to get you those. I want to get that tiny houses and the minutes. So you want where they're located, and then how they got approved. The other 3 were
Well,
approved.
they're just the approval. You did a PDF in an email, sent the approvals for variances?
Yeah,
conversation over. We could read them, understand it. It's already been given.
Oh,
We're
no.
off and going.
The approval for the variance just says it signs Ben Nelson, no conditions. There's no approval written like why rationale. You'd have to read the minutes.
Of every one of them.
Unless there were conditions given, but most there aren't. So like,
So in the case file, you don't have a piece of paper that says,
notice a decision.
that looks like this. It says, variance submitted, just like you read on that piece of paper over there, right? On your computer, you read, piece of paper that said, here's this variance. This case number, this variance.
Yes.
Down here in the decision, granted, not granted, with a
Yes.
reasoning. That's all it is.
But it will say granted, 90% of them say granted, no conditions,
Yeah?
and sign Ben Nelson in the date.
Okay. That's all I'm looking for.
Oh, that's it? You don't want to know the give and take?
If I had a question with it, I just might scratch my head and say, okay, I need to dig further.
Right. 'Cause
Then
then,
we go to an individual case and pull.
then you go to the
I
minutes.
mean,
Yeah.
some of which are benign and, okay, benign.
Okay,
pass through.
I'll pull all the NODs then.
Yeah.
On the, and the other three were done without, the other three, two have been done while I've been here. And then the other three were done prior.
So, back to the tiny house thing again, because this drives me crazy. So if I decide that I just don't like big living, or maybe I love mansion living, right? There's no difference, right, to what I live in. And I build a foundation, and I got my house is, 8 feet by 15 feet. But I build a foundation, I stick build it, put it up. It's not a tiny house, it's just a house, right?
Right.
Because who cares about the size of it? So
650
a tiny
square
house
foot
means
now.
that I bought it from Pennsylvania, put my slab down, I rolled it up here in a cart, I pushed it off onto the foundation, and now it's a tiny house. Is that as I
But if you
understand it?
built it on a foundation, 8 by 15, it doesn't meet the regulation, because it's 650 square feet.
Oh, it's the smallest. It's the smallest.
Minimum.
house.
So it has to be
Black
20
and white
It has
now.
to be 22 by 30.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was
That,
not. I
that
was not.
doesn't define it as a tiny house, though.
No, it just says permitted.
I actually
housing
never
rate.
write it tiny house. I say a request a home to be constructed less than 600 square.
Tiny
feet.
house is technically just
Okay.
A
coin
code
name.
buzzword.
Right.
a
But
buzzword.
it's able to be moved at any given time.
Well, not necessarily.
No, that makes it a manufacturing house.
No, that
Or-
does not make it a manufactured house.
Whether a tiny house can be moved at any
This
time
just
or
drives me
not
Crazy.
is not the issue. They're just getting
It's like
approval
guys being girls.
less than
The
600 square
conversation
feet.
goes
That's the
nowhere.
only approval.
Well,
A manufactured
home.
home is
Problem
under
being, is
HUD
you're gonna have
code,
people that can't.
federal code.
call
That's
it
why
a
like
tiny house.
Right.
a modular house, it
It's a
comes
manufacturing.
and craned off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's not a manufactured house.
No,
It's
That's
modular.
under a different code. It
Oh,
used to
okay.
be BOCA, but I'm not sure it still is. Dave might be able to answer that.
the
It's a different code.
ours
They're
is,
built on a
ours is
different code.
ANSI and something else, but ours are pre-built.
Pre-manufactured.
That's right.
Pre-built.
That's right.
Manufactured is.
HUD,
is
which you
hard.
like, if you go saying, well, I don't like that rule, you'd be fighting city, you'd be fighting the federal government.
Right.
You can't do anything about
Well,
it. It's
Federal government's
federal.
all for this
Right.
tiny house thing.
Yeah.
Right. And
But we can have more restrictive, we can't be
Yes.
less restrictive.
Right.
Right.
But we're very explicit that it says 650 square feet, whether it's on wheels or not. Right? That's the minimum size.
It's
of a
actually
dwelling,
it's
right?
in 600.
Or 600.
That's- I know,
Sorry,
it's minor.
600.
I know,
But still,
I know.
that's way bigger than 8 by 15.
Way bigger.
Absolutely. Most
So
of the homes are under
you're talking a
200.
bedroom versus a house, right?
Right.
Okay. So
A bedroom.
that's a big difference, right? And what is your reason for not meeting the 600? Well, didn't want to, caused. There's only two reasons, and neither of those meets the bar of a variance.
Right.
Now, the one on a lot that's a triangular lot, and you put a rectangle on a triangle and a septic, okay, I can get my head around that as a potential variance, but just not in general terms. And like I said, if you went down Cheney Street and all of a sudden tiny house, or whatever, people are going to go crazy.
Well,
Cheers.
right. Well,
That is what
yeah.
happens though. starts one place, then someone says, well, I don't really have much money, but I can do one of those. And
Well, he did it, I can do it. You know,
Right,
and then-
I can live
Well,
small.
Ken, I think, I'm not gonna say whether I agree or disagree with you, but I think you should go to a zoning meeting and maybe have me
Like-
say there.
No,
Yeah, as
far as that-
a resident.
Yes, as
As
a
a
resident.
resident, yeah.
That's,
But,
to me, that's,
as I said before, we're sitting here as a planning board, our mission is to enforce that book right over there that she's looking at on the computer.
You have to, you make all the, you decide what goes to the town for vote. Yes, you.
Well, we
you-
do that,
you do,
however,
yes.
but when it comes to these cases, we have to stay within the rule, the guidelines that puts us.
Absolutely, unless someone is a guy in,
Unless someone gives them away,
Yes.
we have no bearing. That's my
prior,
point.
prior. If someone gives
that's
them
why I
away
think
prior.
you should go talk to the givers.
I'll go and talk and say, as a planning board member, this is my concern. You know, and have a bag of chiclets with me, because that's my reference.
So I think what I need to do is make everyone copies of the master plan, leaving out a bunch of the, because it's 200 pages. I also am gonna get everyone copies of the entire zoning book, because I think that should all be marked up and try, while we're doing the master plan, to try to have them mesh. Especially when we're talking about like the RVs. I know that's come up, that's on page 70.
But we can't mark that up and work it. Anything we change in that book has to go to.
Yes, but that would be if you met with people, like people might have ideas, or you're allowed to yourself. Then we have to take it to town and vote. But you can come up with, well, this is ridiculous. Why I think there are some areas you could tighten up in the town, and then just take it. If it doesn't pass town vote, absolutely. But I think we should work with that. So if I make copies of both of those and Biddy's historical buildings. Which, how long was that, Biddy's
It
thing?
was
You mean
70
the
pages?
year when
the
she-
Heritage
when she
Commission,
Yeah.
the one she had with her that
All
night.
her historic I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna get you that one too. So you're gonna have 3. But we're over the next year. We should probably be going through different sections of all these things to get it all to the master plan.
Yeah, I mean, I call it, that's reference data that we need
Right.
to look at and say, does it go in or does it change anything, does it go in?
And
So this
th-
was Heritage Commission, I don't remember.
And
So that it's considered in the process,
Yeah.
not omitted from the process.
with the talk of the tiny houses too, again, I mentioned this before, that with generations coming and already housing shortages in this area, do we really want to make it harder for people to?
I think that probably my bigger beef with that isn't so much the tiny house and all that. Take it off your wheels, put in your foundation, have it be whatever. That doesn't really bother me. What bothers me is that it's not really all that much different than someone with a camper who wants to do the same thing. And if I want to take my $120,000 fifth wheel that is absolutely beautiful and is built super great to specs, and you say no, I got a problem with that. So what's good for the goose is not good for the gander, and it's a problem.
Yeah.
And that's very unusual. Why can't I say I don't like that tiny house? I like the mobile home. It's much nicer. It's much nicer built. It's much whatever it is I like about it. Why can't I say that's what I prefer and I want to live in it?
How do they live in them in Florida? They just are on slabs and hurricane tie downs, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Is that how they are?
That's it.
So you could, first of all, you know what I think about that situation. As I told you, I
I'm not
think
sure
that
you can.
was you being singled out.
Yeah.
Having no say. You could then ask for a
Say it too.
variance.
Yeah.
And
I don't want
I know you don't want to.
I don't want it,
but you
but I would like to go up on my
You-
property where I have my camper
I know.
and sit in it,
Grounds.
Right. There it
which
is.
I'm not technically even allowed to do. So then I see a tiny house, which is what I see is there's something going on
You should
here.
go up there too, right?
I
And
remember you talking
if
about
we're going to address tiny houses, we should address the mobile homes too.
Well, I also have the RV restrictions, which have been brought up.
because of-
You're right, you're not allowed to have an RV on a property without like another structure. It's supposed to be either on the side or behind the property. And if you do have another structure on
That
it,
piece of big lot,
the
big
property,
tiny house, now I wanna subdivide
someone's
it.
allowed to be in that RV if there's another residential structure. Someone's allowed to live in that RV for up to 30 days. So there isn't, and then they have to vacate, but in theory, they can vacate for a day, go, that's very understandable. But that doesn't matter, but you're right, you with it by itself, do you have it up somewhere by itself? I don't know if
That's
that one.
mine's Montana now, but
Oh, okay, so I don't care, I wasn't gonna look.
Right.
But a lot of people are rural district to build barns or storage facilities that they put these things in and
Other
then,
than
or
mine.
behind, and you kind of can get away that way. But I know, I agree with you. You
Well,
have
like
just
said, you have
open
your
land.
mine, he has
That's right.
his. That's-
Right, it's
It's-
not allowed per our zoning.
Right.
So let me-
But the tiny house is, that's all I'm saying is that
What we
they
do
aren't
now,
off other than their exterior cladding,
it'll just get harder.
ultimately.
How hard it is for young.
Pretty
Well,
much, right?
and the tie, I think the tie down.
House,
Oh,
tie
and
down now.
Well,
we
that can blow
require
easy.
well, we require well and
The things
septic.
we do now make.
It has to by state law.
Right.
What they don't.
So, but you'd be able to do that with your RV, if that's the way you wanted to go. And hurricane, tie it down on a slab. And if you wanted to live in it, and you go for the same variance request as a tiny home did,
Okay. That's what.
as long as,
I'm just saying there's a fine line here that should probably be
yeah.
really defined between those two things at some point. I don't know. I don't like any of it, really.
Well,
So,
it's an emerging trend.
it's an emerging
It
trend.
came to us a couple of years ago. We had some flyers on it, you know, and my opinion, vastly different than Ray's or your, I mean,
Yeah.
we have our thing, but like I said, as I was just telling Ray, was are you giving up on your town and what you want it to look like?
Right.
And what your property values are versus giving somebody a start in a smaller house, even though you're spending 90% of the money, and the only thing you're thinking on is one little room that could meet the zoning and be fine.
Right.
Right? So, you know, that's kind of that,
It's a weird thing,
Yeah.
for sure.
you know. But it's going to be challenging because it's going to be, we're going to see more and more and more.
I still think where the challenge is going to come is when someone wants to do it with their RV, and at some point someone's going to say,
No.
"This isn't cool. I want to put my RV," and they got to put that, and it's still sitting there on wheels, you know.
Well,
And
the
then,
RVs are clearly defined in the.
Yeah, that one is spelled out.
well, it's clearly defined because it's clearly defined as an RV. A tiny home is not an RV, you know,
It's
but
not home at the same time.
Yeah,
it's not home either. So I'm just saying that it's.
That's the thing, they haven't put it in one, and the federal government hasn't put it in one because they don't want to answer that question.
There,
Right.
there's companies that are manufacturing them. I don't know what code they're manufactured under, but
The next piece, we also talked about last week about the storage containers.
Yes.
When does that become a tiny home?
It can be, as long as it's built to 2018 building code.
And it's,
And they're building them all over the place.
The storage containers are big.
They're building
And is
some
that-
up in Colonial.
you know, character of the neighborhood is also on our purview, and is that meeting character of Newport?
So is this part of master plan? Is this?
Yeah.
I think so.
So I've got copies of the HC. I'm gonna make everyone full new copies of the master plan with a lot left off. So, and I'll do
We
back
don't
and
need
front.
that whole
That
back
whole
half.
end part that's all this, that's huge. And I'm gonna make everyone a copy of the zoning book, because then when we're in a master plan, we can refer. And I do think that the zoning book could be looked at. A lot of what the prior town manager wanted in regard to zoning with my discussions with him was he wanted things, I believe, more lenient on things like how he was following more like the state and federal government looking at, we want more housing, we want it on smaller plots, we want, again, that's kind of what Upper Valley is pushing. There's all seminars on you going to learn about it and then you as administrators pushing it, including me. But regardless of us being indoctrinated in it, you're still the vote, which is good. It's just if certain planning boards or administrators are able to turn the board on whether they want it. You guys get the final vote, regardless of, we don't get any vote. But that is the push, and it's being done federally and then the state, and there's all kinds of, the Upper Valley Planning Commission, they follow right in trend with all the smaller, cramped together, don't let anyone have large pieces of land for one home, it's not all right, everyone, that's not fair. And I've got seminars that I've been asked to go on it. And I basically am thinking, well, I know what, they are. So I'm sure you guys have all heard that. There's been multiple laws that have been looked up to make it state policy that if you have town water and sewer, no town can allow anyone to deny anyone more than 4 units on each plot, can't be told no, as long as it has town water and sewer. I don't know if they go into the size of the plot. I don't know if you stack them. I don't think that one passed though. That was 2 years ago.
It's funny that the Upper Valley would be pushing for that because the Upper Valley is Lime, and Lime has a minimum building lot of 50.
Yeah,
No,
but
it's
it's not
not,
Lebanon.
it's not Hanover, Lebanon, it's the Upper Valley Lake Sunapee Regional Planning Commission. It's the planners that are typically, I don't know what you want to call it. Is it a liberal mindset or is it but it's a very in line with this idea that the cities don't want the rural to become cities. That's the concept.
Yeah, well, I want to, from last week when we talked about remember when I mentioned subdivisions every 5 years? I think that when I got home, I was like, I know that's true. And I believe that where my mistake is that is a minor subdivision versus a major. So a minor
Right.
subdivision, you can split down after 5 years, you can resplit it again. So
Wait, on a minor, you have to still wait 5 years?
I believe you have to wait 5 years on a minor, then you
Or it
can,
becomes a major.
right. It's just a bit of a way around it. If you're willing to wait, you can
Right.
jump things down.
Yeah, you can, if you're willing to wait. If you're not, you just go for a major.
Right.
And then if you're in a hurry.
But just the way things get smaller.
You've never seen it?
That's a good question. I hope not. I hope I haven't done a subdivision and then brought you back with a subdivision of the same property again. But no, I don't think
I
so.
just remember because when I bought my property agreement, because I
it's
just did
the
that.
same, yeah.
There, and that had been all one property. So the Greenwoods owned it, and I ended up buying the Greenwood house. Eventually, I bought all the subdivision, which was just ridiculous because someone bought it. They split it all up, and I liked the land, so I bought the land. And then I was like, oh, I kind of like the house too, and I bought the house. I sat on it for a long time, then I sold the house. But I remember when I bought it, someone said to me on the board, you just wait 5 years, you can take the big one that was with the Greenwood house, it had just been subdivided and it had 20 acres with it, you can lob that off and split that into 3 more. Just wait your 5 years out.
And that has 5 years has passed on that already.
Right, I could split that up
I know
now.
you could. It goes quick, 5 years. That's why I don't think anyone's subdivided and then come back. And the surveyors usually would probably catch that also, so that's why I don't think that's happening. Plus, there's state approval on a lot of things.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I mean, you have to have the road frontage too. I mean, so
you have to be able to, right. So,
I just was trying to figure out why because there was the difference between minor and major.
Yeah.
so I need to bring those 3 books for everyone, and whether I keep them in-house or not, but I do think, especially with these after the meetings we're having or whatever, we can start chipping away at rewriting. So what was it last month that said bring town policies? I don't recall what you guys wanted, and I didn't. Was that the 79E? Because I did bring that, and I will say.
No,
that
it's
was
probably related to item 2
Eddie's thing.
with the RV.
Oh, okay. Well, that's all in
So we
the.
can focus right in on it.
That is all in the zoning. Then
Could you dig out the reference, the exact reference?
of RVs.
Yeah, chapter verse.
Oh yeah, if the
You don't have to do
RVs.
it now, you can do it.
We've done it.
It is.
We did it a couple months ago, didn't we, Christine?
Yeah, I've got it. I had it up right. It's on page 70, and it restricts that an RV could only be stored on a property where resides a home, and it could only be stored at the side yard or the rear. If someone lives in an RV, it could only be for 30 days, which I think is really generous because then they can leave for a few days and go back. The RV can only be slept in. It cannot be lived in during the day, and it cannot be hooked up to the home for, I believe, even electricity. That way.
So it has to have its own power source. You're saying?
Yeah, a little. They really want it for if someone's visiting and you don't have like enough sleep. They don't want it as a rental apartment. I think that's the concept. And I gotta get this thing to stop shutting down every 3 minutes, so I have to re-log in. That's why I go back to it, and I apologize. But
So
those
page
are
70, you said.
page 70. But I'm gonna get you these books. So, but I still didn't realize, I forgot what the town policy is, so that's the zoning book then. So I've got that down. You're gonna have 3 books, and I'm gonna put everyone's name on them, and whether you wanna take them home and bring them back every week, or I will hold them for everyone. And then we've got the granting of the variances. I'm gonna start bringing those every time. And then the storage boxes versus shed, I can try to see if anything's written when I speak to Alan. But you don't think there's anything written on, like in code, in building code
Is Alan still here?
until Friday? You don't think there's any
I'm gonna
written?
talk to him, I'm gonna come in tomorrow.
Okay.
I'm gonna talk to him, just to see, 'cause
He'll be-
it just can get out of hand so fast.
Yeah, that one I'm not aware of, but I do know, right. And then the ADU information is also very specific, and it's I believe it's on, I forget the page, but that's in there too. And then you did request the 79E, although I don't see it, and I did bring that.
Yeah, we got that. Oh, it's in the, you had it up above that,
But yeah,
under Mrs. Stetson, address the board, that's how 79E, blah, blah, blah.
And then, was the vocational building feedback,
It's in here.
what?
yeah, you've got it in here.
So,
Oh, okay.
Yeah, what is that?
Oh, yes, oh, good, I put that, thank you.
I was just reading through it.
Yeah, do you have any
And-
comments? Because
Yeah.
I haven't given the permit yet for this.
So, highway or sewer should comment on the item 4, whether they buy that answer or not. I don't think they will. It says it was scoped at one point, but not the entirety of the line, the way I read that.
There is no sewer
I know we have no sewer department.
superintendent.
Yeah, with
I
iron.
believe that's getting,
Oh, is
He's
it?
got
Okay.
nothing to do with
well,
that.
I think that they have something in the works.
They do.
So,
Well,
this,
I don't want to speak out.
so this statement on here that they wrote indicates that one piece was scoped, not all of it. So I wouldn't accept that as a complete response. They're still responsible. for
It
that.
If
says
I read this the way
coordinate.
they've got it, the existing sewer line was blocked by roots and has since been replaced in kind. The rest of the existing line was scoped and found to be in good condition. So we got new and we've got good existing
Well,
condition.
they said,
I mean, if that's the
I don't know if there's
way
anybody at the town that can verify that. but-
I think all the department, you had have quit too, but then they're are stepping in, so I'll ask those people.
You can
Well-
ask Kurt.
Can you, I
Kurt.
mean, I'm sure if you still in contact with Todd,
There is no
It'll
Todd.
be Kurt that'll know.
Todd
Well-
Cartier?
Kurt will
He
know.
was-
somebody should know,
He was
did
done
that
2 days ago.
verify? I didn't remember seeing that sewer line get replaced. Did it get replaced? Is this
Oh,
a
well,
I
is this a
didn't-
true statement?
I did not visually see it, yes.
Is this
So-
a true statement?
Right, yes, absolutely, and Todd Cartier left on the 7th,
It's
last
funny
Friday.
Yeah, 2 days
that Todd
ago.
would have made the statement he did before they came, and now all of a sudden he's saying it got replaced a couple years ago. I got two contradicting
right.
statements there.
I guess you're right.
The timing isn't, how could he have done that and then it got replaced, and I mean, I never saw him down there doing anything, so I would say that's a false statement.
Oh, I see what you're saying, yes.
Okay. And then,
Now, your inspection, right, yep, okay, sounds good. And then what's,
item 5, your permit is contingent upon item 5, 100%.
yes, and I have not,
An agreement signed in principle, right? Was the
absolutely, and maybe Jeff can speak to that. I've been asking about it, I broached it with Barry. I also I've called numerous times on this. I've literally got the permit, because they sent it in, the school sent it in, it's sitting on my desk, waiting for state approval and/or a town, supposedly what I've been told is the town of Newport has to draft the route that they're gonna solve
The
this.
agreement in principle.
Yes.
I think that this year, as of our last few meetings, is moving up in
Priority.
utmost importance, as in one of the most important things, if not the most important thing that's happening. in town.
Understood.
And
But I think it
this,
was being
this
delayed.
being highlighted is one of the issues. Now, we have different head of the town right now, interim.
I mean,
Things may
it's as simple
change.
as-
We do not know how much of this
Yeah.
was being paused, how much we were kept in the dark on some of this.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is, as we we are digging into this, and
Just get,
and it's not easy because there is a school board, there is planning board, there is board of selectmen, there's town manager, there's just so much, and for some reason things aren't moving forward. So we're digging into it. This permit needs to be issued.
I have it waiting,
Yeah.
all someone has to
But
do
short of a piece of paper with a
with,
school signature and a town signature.
Yeah,
yes,
I
of
would
their
leave that
plan
on.
moving
right,
forward.
of course.
Period.
I did,
Yes.
I did hear.
That's my personal opinion.
Right, I did hear
There,
that.
there's a bit to sort out, but I think the sorting is going to start fast tracking it.
I think things were pushed right under the rug, that's another one.
But if you let something
This
go
is one of
through
the issues
without
that drove-
the proper credentials,
Oh, it has
What
to.
is it?
It can't.
it's hard to go back.
It's
and
hard
say,
to pull it back.
we-
That one would have had to be a literal cease, if that permit went out,
Yeah.
that would have to be a cease and desist to anyone working on the construction there that you're not allowed on the property. It would have had to be immediately legal, because that's a state, the state
Yeah.
would have not, that's why I've got it sitting, and so that's not moving. They do not have the permit for the new structure as of yet. I believe they have an August 1st deadline, or is it a September 1st, or they're gonna start incurring big,
Yeah,
big, do you
I
know
think
which one
that
that
it's,
is?
I will just say that it's my responsibility as a member of the board to come more informed to the next meeting, which I'm not going to be at. But I will try to dig into this a little further. I know that it is Barry's intention and his desire and passion to make sure that this gets sorted out. And I believe that everyone wants to sort it out, but somehow it's just, who knows? All I can say is that who knows. Right now, I'm new to the board, and we're both boards really.
Well, I just,
Or no.
there's a trust issue there.
Well, there's a
And
good.
getting them to sign something, both parties in agreement that it will be made whole, would be my interest, before they get issued something to move forward, because otherwise they'll get forgotten, and we intended to do it, and then it never gets done, and then the kids get shorted because they get,
No land to play on.
right, or, yeah,
Well, I think the
exactly.
state would have repercussions. That's when the state could.
They can
step
ask for the
in.
money back.
There is there's
That's what
there's
happened in
rumor,
Claremont.
there's all
Yeah.
kinds of
Over there.
rumor going around about
And it's,
whether the land ever was
There were
even
two,
state, town, and I will make this. I like to make a few things a mission. Something like line striping was a mission for me. I will try to make this something, since I'm on this board. I never even really considered that when we talk about it on the BOS, that I sit here as well. So I think that
I'm holding it though, so everyone knows. It's been submitted. I think they did that to make a point
But if it
about a
gets
month.
submitted, you're on a time date stamp, aren't you?
God, no. Or I can void it then, if there's a time, a 30-day. Well, then I could void it, but I'm not voiding it for them to make, they submitted it to be silly. Because I called the guy, the general contractor, and he goes, I know, Christina, they wanted to push the
That's
town's
the clock
buttons.
ticking, you're obligated now. You
Well, then I
accepted
guess I
it,
can
it's
vote.
obligated. So
Well, we
that's-
got it in, I didn't, I haven't, so right, fine. They also haven't paid for it. They haven't paid the
Okay, so
permit
that's
fees.
until they pay, and then it clicks, and
Right, so, you're right,
So, but anyways,
I
it's-
could void it and make them redo it again, and maybe I will.
or you can just tell them, say, this is, until it's paid, the clock doesn't start ticking.
I've been in
That's-
very close contact with, I just never hear anything. And then,
I think in these things there's a lot of he said, she said, and I thought they were doing it, and they thought they were doing it, and nobody's doing anything because nobody knows who's supposed to do what. And I think it's terrible because it's a really,
gorgeous
really
building.
important project.
It's gorgeous, yeah.
They, but
Gorgeous
they're also in
building.
a funding crunch, too.
But that's right, that's what I'm saying, but there's a funding crunch. So we have one little piece that I think a lot of people don't really
Just
fully
get the
understand.
plan, yeah. We also have a Newport, well, the town, but that's not my decision, has a number of properties.
So
Just a-
moving down the
just a
list,
thought.
item 6, we talked about the signage and being a separate permit. They removed the power, but they're gonna put
They-
a conduit for future.
Yeah, they just ignored it. I agree, I didn't like that answer either. They're like, we're gonna do it the way we want, we don't care, like you said. I agree.
The next thing I drive by and there's a sign popped up. That's
I fully agree. I didn't like how they just wrote, yep, we're gonna do the lights the way we want.
well, yeah, cap it for future, but
Right, that,
it would at least state
Remember
in
we,
response that
it's not gonna be sharp,
signs require individual permits is the answer here. And that puts
that's,
you into that section of the code, or you could say per ordinance X, Y, and Z.
that's right.
You need to file a permit for signs. And then you
Well-
document it and you move on.
They
Does it-
can put all the conduit they want,
Yeah.
they just can't use it.
Yeah.
And there might be a reason, they might, go, look, we're gonna have impervious sidewalks, we don't wanna tear those sidewalks back up, they're gonna be printed or whatever, you
I
know.
know.
That's
But then
fine.
they say they're not, because it's federal funded, they don't have to file, well, I can make them come to the zoning.
You still got a full permit.
Absolutely, and then they, for a sign permit, since they already have one, they have to ask for a variance. But they're told, we'll go in and do it as play, but whether, what they tell us, we can override it.
You can't. They still got full permits. You can't.
And, but to get
They're-
two sides of the property, right, they do have to pull a permit.
They're exempt from certain approvals, but not
They have to,
permitting.
so do you think if they pull a permit, am I obligated to take them to the zoning board? Because they already have multiple signs on the property. So I'd have to, and then regardless of what the zoning board says, they can
Rule
move
is the
ahead.
rule. Yeah.
So they don't have to follow them though. Okay, because that confuses me and why we're doing it if they don't have to.
There's prescriptive language that says
I
what
know.
the exemption means.
Okay. This, I didn't like that either on the lighting.
But isn't this just simple? Just get a sign permit?
Well, the problem
Okay.
is that's all one lot.
And so they
You can
already
only
have
have up to X
signs.
amount of feet on a lot. They already had,
X-
they already got a variance for a,
Oh, okay.
Second
Light-
illuminated
light,
sign.
Yeah.
Yeah, and getting another sign. And they're not following, they're just stating, we're not gonna follow your downcast lighting code.
But it's
now in the other thing I was noticing, in their fancy brochure they put out for more funding, they have a sign on the new
I know.
tech entrance. That's gotta get permitted.
On the structure itself.
On
Oh,
the building, but then you get into the square foot of the letters.
yes,
or the-
and the size, and the foot.
Yeah.
you know,
Now, again though,
So,
they then can,
I've dealt with a lot. Sadly.
right? Okay, so you know what, I'm gonna make notes on here.
I mean, your signage is based on your road frontage, right?
It's based on the building,
Oh,
the front of the
front
building.
of the- right, the
For
feet of
every
front.
linear foot, you are allowed 1 square foot of sign.
And they took all of that for this school sign. Is that what you're saying?
No, that's different on the road side, on signs that aren't on structures, you're only allowed 1. Signs on a building itself, you're only allowed 1. You can't have one on the front and one on the side. So one that's on the building, that would be allowed, but it has to be on the front of the building.
which
And
already
it-
says Newport High School.
What's this? The Newport High School one has it, but aren't they gonna put agricultural center or something? I know.
Where does it end?
I know. But I think they are allowed that on the second structure on the building.
I tell you what, why don't they just roll up a little tiny house in front, put a sign on it?
All right.
Okay.
And then have the
Storage
RV.
box with
And
it.
then have right.
We're covered now.
Then have the RV. in the
I knew
back.
we'd figured this sign
I
thing
know.
out.
Okay, I'm gonna make note, I'm gonna comment back to say, are you not gonna do downcast lighting? Whatever, we'll see.
They better follow the downcast, or they're gonna open it up for everybody in town.
I know, but they say we
What's
don't.
good for one is good for them all,
I know.
period.
Right,
Typically, what municipal applicants will do is say, we're gonna hold ourselves to
right.
the standard or a higher
Right.
standard,
Then
even though we know we technically don't have to.
don't
come
have
for
to,
permit.
that's what I'm saying.
They walked in and said, we're not gonna,
They
we don't
said
have
we
to come
don't
see
have
you,
to with
and
it.
what we're gonna show you this, but whatever.
Right, I know, I agree, that's why I feel stuck. Like, I feel like saying, comply to the bloody,
All it says is, if you're gonna
Downcast.
put a sign or down lighting, it needs to meet the ordinance. That's-
right, all right. Okay, so sign permits, and if there's too many signs, they have to get a variance.
Just-
But they don't
have to just
they don't have to follow.
follow the sign ordinance.
Okay, I got that. And the sewer, I'm gonna have Kurt tell us what happened there. Oh,
Or didn't.
did you hear about, they're not gonna have a new street address. They're gonna be on 243, is it 243 or 245? North Main Street. I believe it's 243 North Main Street. And they're gonna, the fire department is, if they deem necessary, they will be 1, 2, 3ing the buildings or A, B, C the buildings.
And
And
it's up to them, typically they like an individual number per 911, but.
I know, the fire chief,
Newsies.
yeah, said, oh, and they're gonna have a direct box at that new structure that will, if there's a fire or anything, any smoke detect, anything that goes off, the alarm goes off
For just that building.
for just the ag building. That's required.
Should have its own address, individual numbers, but that's okay, that's his.
It's gonna
that's
have,
his-
yeah,
and it's
that's what that says, right? If the matter will be yeah, and it's gonna be it's gonna be a 1, 2, 3 or an ABC. Like Ruger. I always go to the Ruger thing.
Where LaValle is probably down there, right, per building,
Yeah, we got all our buildings numbered.
number.
Number, so that's gonna what it's gonna look like. But on top of it, I think they're gonna have alarms going off. I don't know what I bet you they'll say ag building, not just building 1, but maybe they will say building 1. I would think it would make sense if lights were going off.
Fully addressable, like,
Yeah, you'd say ag building. But like Spring Street is gonna be direct linked to,
yeah, but
Yeah.
it'll come in, when it comes in
as the address 32 Spring
Right.
Street, absolutely, yes. So,
17 characters.
yeah. So that was that, and then, I guess that's it.
So we got on the vocational. Yeah.
Oh, and then they gave you the maintenance plans that you wanted to have myself on file, and they're on file at the school too, I guess, right? Which these are included. So do you find those satisfactory?
Yes.
Can we go back one step? When was the next public for the master plan?
We didn't pick on everything. So
You
we,
mean an open forum?
Yeah.
We don't have one. We had one, and 3 people showed up.
I know you weren't gonna do another one?
we were gonna do one after, I thought we were gonna do it
After
after we
everything
filed
came
the
in.
data from the survey.
After we compiled the data.
Yeah,
So, okay, good.
so that'll
good.
probably be either August or September.
But it will not be August.
Okay,
I know. So let's try to do September.
September,
And,
It'll be
wait a
before
minute,
the-
we still
Somebody
have,
asked me, so I was just,
believe it or not, surveys are still coming in, sluggishly now.
Yeah.
But still,
Is that my-
did you do yours, Jeff?
you did?
I know I'd love to see it if you could, because we want more. I want everyone's, yeah, I know you don't have to. I just
I have
want,
the best of intentions.
I want to see a nice percentage so we can say,
How many do you got?
well, I have to go recount, I'd have to go recount
We're
tomorrow.
above 10%.
Yeah, I'd love to say, like, I was hoping to get to 20, but I don't think we're going
We
to.
can't get that for vote.
yeah, I know.
That's true.
For the
That's
town vote.
not true.
Town vote's about 12, 14%. Well, what's the math? 600
We had 600 or 700
on
the
6,000.
last time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I guess that's a good one.
Isn't that, what are we, 6,000?
Yeah.
So that's
Wait,
6,000.
well, it should be of eligible voters. So,
That's true.
You know,
That's true. Oh, right, we sent out slightly under 4,000 surveys. We went to every dwelling, so every dwelling has an adult, I hope, that lives there. I hope there's a dwelling. But who knows, Ray's gonna tell me there's a dwelling with just infants in it, for all I know. But hopefully, so in theory,
The quarter points.
right, so in theory, we should have hit 4,000 adults. Just slightly under, I think it's 3,900. So I will be able to get percentages.
Well, that's data we need to
Right.
digest.
Absolutely. And I'm kind of waiting, although I should start chugging it together. But I've got a few more days it's till the 30th.
But we do need to schedule, once we get
So
the data,
let's-
schedule a work session.
Future resident was asking me when it was, because he wanted to attend it. He had something he wanted to say to us.
So September, I do know people.
That's why I was asking.
Yeah, so we want to
It'll
plan.
be at least September. At least.
at least. So I would, if we have any, are we done with basically everything on here?
We
It's up
got,
to
we
you.
got board communications.
Okay.
Do you have anything?
I,
No.
That was like something that has, bothered me as a builder, renovator for a long time is at least in my case, probably in a lot of people's cases, sometimes renovation projects in particular go on for a long time. And mine can sometimes go on for years, if not decades. And the problems with these permits, they expire so fast that sometimes you fail to go in and get them renewed, and then you got your piece of yellow paper in the window, which I'm very guilty of. And so you're really breaking the law, and yet you got your original permit, and you're still working on the same project, but something gets waylaid, something changes. If there's a way of either them auto-renewing, or you have an option of doing that, so we can keep these permits going without having to go in and look at them and say, where is it at? I mean, I got a building down here that could be in, it's 10, 15-year project. It's but thinking about it all the time, having to come in and do it again and do it again and do it again. I would suspect that I'm not alone in some of these things, that people end up in projects that last a long time. And do you understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Now, typically, and this started right around when COVID hit, and then all the backlog of material, and then all the labor shortages. What my understanding, per the building inspector, is that the permits are good for 6 months.
Right.
As long as the project has been started within those 6 months, once you start it, the permit, if you don't start it, so say 2 years goes by and you're like, we never even built the house, those are void. But if you start it, the length of finishing doesn't matter. It stays open. That's what I've been told. Now, with that said,
I was told it was something different previously.
We have been
Some have time limits, especially commercial ones. Foundations have to be done within 6 months.
Well, right.
Superstructure has to be done 3 months. But
Right.
I don't know if that's in regard to permitting. Is that regard to permitting?
Some places that are done that way.
But I don't
Because-
think we have.
I'll do some research because I've got something in Hanover open.
We have some places that when we go in, I'm not going to say where it is,
Yeah.
Oh,
but
yeah.
when they go in,
Yeah, I thought it was 2
they
years.
get their building permit,
Yes.
they have 365 days to finish. And if they don't,
That's-
regardless of whether the roads have been shut down because of mud season, it's too bad.
Those are town regulated ones,
Yeah.
and unless you guys mandate that on
Yeah.
commercial structures, we never do.
But a
Well,
lot of
yes.
people think about other places when they come, because I've had people come in, well, when you're in Manchester, I said, we're not Manchester.
We're not right. I had someone come in today and
It should
say,
be pretty clear in there.
right, but so we never do that unless you guys did that stipulation. Like
All we have is
thought it was 2 years.
from subdivision approval, you got 3 years to start.
to start what? The
Start the
subdivision.
subdivision.
Right,
That's
but
Or even the commercial, like Spring Shore, they had from then to conception, I think it was 3 years to start. And then,
you didn't put that requirement on it. The ZBA did.
yeah.
But you could have too. Couldn't you have? And if it wasn't started within 3 years, you asked for a new review. I've never seen you do that. So
We never-
I don't put any limit. And then when COVID hit, we did have, for example, this perfect, and there were a few of these cases, where one guy had ordered a manufactured home, and it literally got delayed like 18 months, and he came in we did not void the permit for it, because what we're really just doing is looking for more money. Because and he came in and told us about it,
Well-
and when the manufactured home came in, we started the process. Because if we really void them, we're just saying, the $500 you paid, we're throwing out the window, and we're asking you for more money, and that was a shipping. And we've done it with other people with siding and roofing, that they've tried to get done, and they've come back in and told us we're aware of it, and we've never recharged anyone. Because it seems, that seems like a money grab to
Permit's based on
me.
volume, right?
What
When
is
you do your
based
permit
on?
fee, it's based on volume of the project.
But-
You get your fees up front.
Yes, they're different.
So for that scope of work, whether it goes 6 months, 8 months, 2 years, whatever, so what? But in the case of a renovation, scope creep is the biggest thing to that. So if you come in and pull a permit, I'm gonna replace the roof. And then next thing you know, you're doing
Right.
No, we don't.
kitchen cabinets, every element that you add to it.
But that doesn't
should extend
happen. That doesn't happen. It's specific. When we write, there's a barn, or someone has a home and they're putting a deck and a shed and this and that, it's on there. And a matter of fact, we've done new
It should get
homes.
amended as, if they add stuff.
They would do a new
Another
one.
permit.
They would do a new permit adding stuff. We wouldn't amend, we don't have an ability to amend an old permit.
Okay.
We would just
need
start.
to issue a new number.
We would just issue, but again, there was also some woman that had like nightmare, it was the old schoolhouse on the end of Oak. Katie Burns had nightmare, contractor issues. One just left and disappeared, and then she ended up having to pay a lot more money for the new person, and they couldn't afford this, and the septic, he did something wrong, so they
So,
needed,
I know-
that she was over a year before she started the project, and we didn't make her repay. She actually ended up paying way more on her permit fees because her original house was way bigger than what she rebuilt, and we never,
So I know in Hanover,
they make you
having done
repay.
this, they go into violation after a time period, and I'll look this up, but they go into violation, and in order to reopen them, so that you can close them, and not be in a violation, it's 50% of the cost of the original permit. To open them, and then you gotta go through the list, make sure, and then either do the work, or having done the work, to close them.
We do not, yeah.
Oh.
And I'm
So
not
that's
allowed
one
to,
example.
I'm not allowed to charge any fees because I believe that's a BOS decision, which is something you could look into if this is an interest to you. The only thing I can do, like even when people literally, I don't even want to tell you a recent story of a violation, a whole entire home got built without any permits. And we were called for this certificate of occupancy. And Alan looked it up and we said, this is open land. And we couldn't believe it. They called literally asking for it, and they never even paid for the certificate of occupancy. They paid for no permitting, none, nothing. So anyways, the only fees we could give is after the fact permit fees for everything, which is your base fee, and this was for a residential home. And most of them are, well, we could double this was for a double wide, so their base was only mostly $25. So I think they're the only fines associated with it, and the whole home was built without Alan and I seeing anything. Was $100 fine on top of the fees.
So it'd be worth it not to even bother.
Well,
No, because
then
you
you
can
can't
shut the water off. You can-
Right, we could
Cut
have
the
got
power off.
Did you?
right.
Yes. No occupancy.
No, did you?
No, we immediately got them. I mean, I
Nothing
couldn't believe what I saw, and neither could Alan.
$100, move on.
Neither, and part of the reason, yeah, they even,
I've seen that done because of the color of the door. There was an orange sticker on the guy's door. I showed up with some stuff, and there was a car right behind me with plates on it. He goes, "What are you going to do with that?" I says, "I'm going to deliver it." He says, "I would think you would want to reconsider."
you're not allowed
I had a
to,
cease and desist. He says, "See that orange sticker?
right, you're not allowed.
Nothing goes in, nothing
Goes
comes
out.
out. Nothing is touched."
And that's what could happen at that property we're talking about at the beginning on Bascom Road. The minute, that's when, because it just seems they have asked for nothing and there's no way to divide that property. Like, I do not get any of it. And that might have to be a cease and desist, because I think they're just gonna have people go
But you
on.
could, in the case where they built it and then came in to look for occupancy, you could go in and say, rip the walls apart because I want to look at the structural connections.
Well, so we were able to see.
Fully legitimate in the
Right,
code.
because it was a mobile home, manufactured home. The only thing we couldn't see, and actually the guy who did it just came in to apologize about it today, because everyone else thought they were getting the permits. We never expected anything. The most thing I was concerned about is we never saw the slab. And we were not gonna be able to, we were gonna have to write, never, I was thought that they were gonna have to chew it up, and they had photos of it. And then I said, those photos can't just be photos of the slab. I have to see,
Formwork, rebar.
that too, but I had to see things on their property that showed that it was to that property, not just any slab. And I remember talking, she was bawling on the, right, I said, or we will have to write, that was not inspected, and actually, the guy that I know that did it, everyone else thought, I know, even
Could make
election,
them do destructive testing too.
right,
Cut a section so I can see.
I know. And I said, and I told
Claremont,
the
they make you do
woman,
it.
these are the contractor's responsibility. An
Hanover,
electrician,
you'd be taking it out.
electrician went on the property
Period.
I think Claremont might have
without
to.
pulling a permit.
No, it's just.
Again, I've never, Alan and I thought we'd see open land. They called Alan for a certificate of, a CO inspection, which is kind of funny. And Alan and I were looking at it going, and he called me over, and then we went out for a drive. We thought we'd see
No.
nothing.
In a question like that, did the water department hook up the water? Or
No,
the well?
they had a septic and a well put in.
Did the power company connect power to it?
Okay, well, what was yes, and I'll tell you what happened. There used to be, they also had an address. This is how they really got away with it, because they would have never gotten power. There used to be a mobile home on it. They had it removed, and they just started doing a new one with 0 permits. And the old mobile home was taken off, so it showed open land. But the power company, they turned on the power that was already there. It was a box on the
You said there should be, you should have hit a trigger somewhere in that process somebody would have said, wait a minute.
Well, they should have never returned it on with a new name at Eversource. You're right.
No, I mean, usually if the town's connected water to it or sewer to it, it's like, wait a minute, what permit number am I looking at for, that kind of.
Well, and that would have caught it.
Sewer, so,
The electro,
I
right?
get it, I get it.
yeah.
And we could have, if they didn't fix everything. And I have shut off power to properties that haven't permitted for everything. This one, I'd have to go back to Alan, but I think they just changed the name over from the old person, but they shouldn't have done that because there was no home on the property. It was empty land that these people purchased.
But see, in the office, they don't know that. Eversource or
Well,
whoever.
because it had an
If
address.
it has somebody's
Well,
name, I buy
think-
property from him, and his name is the last electrical user.
Well,
Oh, they have it.
normally Eversource will
I
not.
was gonna say something about that. I think there was some change in the last 2 years there too.
Yeah.
That where a few things got by that wouldn't have gotten by 2 years ago.
Chris is new.
Yeah.
And now and this one does have a 911 address. The minute you get a 911 address, everyone thinks because there's no 911 addresses on properties that are open land. Does your open land have a 911, or does it just say what road it's on?
Now, you don't get a 911 address till you
Yeah.
put in for building permit.
Absolutely, but these are few exceptions where once you're given one and you demo a house, they're not removed. They're left
Yeah.
there. And so Eversource re-energizes the power. They think they're doing it to a house. They're not told it was removed.
Right.
But open
That's-
land, we have
But
open
typically,
land
I mean,
on our trail system, and we have 911 addresses.
I mean, as you know, Eversource will come out, talk to the electrician before they'll throw the switch, because they have a legal obligation there.
I mean, we could have Alan come and talk. The whole house got built.
That would be cool.
Every single thing. We were called. What's funny is the builder, who we've done other work with, literally was funny. He called us about the CO, which is kind of
And then
humorous.
he's like, oh crap.
Oh, we didn't. Not only did we not get a CO, no one showed us anything. Not play. We don't. We honestly drove up there and we couldn't believe what we saw. Oh, also, Irving, 3 propane tanks. Irving didn't even pull up, and Irving put it in. And they didn't even pull a permit. And they're required to get that
You can pull a
inspected.
gas license for that.
Right. And we were up there, and we're looking at 3 new I'm sitting walking around, Alan and I, we were like, and it was Irving that even didn't pull a permit. And I haven't chased them about it, but I should. I mean, but it's like chasing, following at this point. Irving, everyone who could have stopped it didn't do
You
their
said there should have been a trigger somewhere.
Someone,
Somebody-
and not one, and even Irving
An
knows
anomaly.
they have to pull a permit.
That's an anomaly.
So
3 propane tanks on the property, big propane tanks.
So to get back a little bit to, this is all kind of pulled together, but the tiny homes and permits, and setbacks and all this, Chandler Mills Road, the property that's condemned there, one
Yes.
right on the river
Yeah.
side. Is that something, it's got power on it, I assume, right, so we're in the power issue. We have a structure on there. Is someone able to purchase that, pull it off, slide a tiny home on there and hook up the power?
Yeah.
I mean,
no,
now,
not a
now,
te-
we've, now
not
we've
a
hit
te-
all the things we talked about. I mean, is that, everyone says that's a valueless piece of land there.
No,
Or is it not valueless?
no, it's not valueless.
Because that's
As
how
long as
they're-
that home stays on that property.
that home is,
Right, but as long as you do another one, because I've been talking to DES on this, because people, now that it's going up for auction,
right.
That town property.
that 69 Chandler Mills Road is going up for auction, and
Right.
people are asking about it, and it's actually an adorable property.
It absolutely
If
is.
you could put another single, I said, no, DES will not let you put in anything bigger, because that's already in violation of
Right, setbacks.
setbacks.
Right.
Not us, the Sugar River setbacks.
Right.
But they will allow the exact same because it's been there. The thing is, I've talked to them about, supposedly, I don't know if you know this, I have not literally walked the property because I don't go on private property unless I'm invited. Is I hear that other people that have been looking to make bids on it have walked it, and that their septic is just a hole in the ground with a pipe that drains into the Sugar River.
So you couldn't put a new building on it?
So I called DES about this, and they said that they would expect a septic to be designed. And I said, I don't think that's possible. They go the last resort, and they go, absolutely, everyone says there's no other alternative. They put in a pump-out tank system.
Yep.
Last resort, and it can be no bigger
With a tiny
than,
house.
than the structure that's there
Tiny
now.
house, pump out system.
Whether it's a 3-bedroom or 2-bedroom. And the one guy that I've told about that's been really interested, I said, don't touch that trailer till you have another one coming in and you have that approved tank, because it has to be like a match. It's like when you have a dock on Lake Sunapee. If it needs to be repaired, you are repairing it at the exact same time you're demoing it, or you're going to lose your grandfather status.
But is it the same or smaller?
Smaller, but no tiny home, because that would be need a variance. But they'd probably get approved based on
So-
that.
Yeah.
What land's being
Smaller, less
odd, that
invasive.
land being so odd, and us wanting to protect the Sugar River. I could see
So-
them approving it. Do you see
Dumb.
what I'm saying, Jeff? on
I
that?
just think it's coming up. All I'm saying is that I think that's gonna be-
Interesting question. Why would the town part with that piece of property? Why wouldn't they just
Why wouldn't they use that as the
junk it
rec?
all?
Why wouldn't they use that as the rec land that goes to the school? Perfect solution.
No.
Yes.
Looking at the map, to the east and to the west, the town owns the property between the road and the river. Why wouldn't you just absorb that piece, 0.2 acres, clean it off, and just have it contiguous along that whole bank?
Well, and make it.
Or why
and-
wouldn't you let
and make-
somebody with an entrepreneurial spirit come along and make that something taxable for the town?
Or look at it's the perfect solution for the school, Jeff.
I think it needs to be,
It-
I think it needs to be bigger than that.
It's
really
vastly
small.
short of
It needs to be
trade.
three-quarters of an acre.
And that's the dangerous slippery slope of that letter you got to write.
Yeah.
Equitable value,
Right.
not a bench up in the woods like they asked about.
It's if you don't look at the trash. If you go it is beautiful, the views of the Sugar
That's
River.
down.
Yeah, if I had that little trailer up there on down, I'd be like, I want that one down there. I would just put my tiny house there and just
Put your RV on that thing. I mean, it's
That would be
gorgeous.
illegal.
That way it supports.
I know.
do that.
Can you bid on that?
I know that
I would
we
not.
should
I
get
know,
rid of
it's
the
pretty
garages,
bored.
that
Because
0.2
it's,
acres,
I've spoken to DES. I'm thinking someone's going to do a single wide. I told them revamp the one that's there. They say it's impossible. They should talk to this gentleman.
Nothing's impossible.
Nothing's impossible, and Ray has done gorgeous work with redoing. I said that trailers.
You've changed.
Yeah, redo it. But they did say if it's already there, don't. And they will last resort. But that means plenty of surveyors and septic designers. Everyone trying to work out a 2-bedroom something on there. But is that possible? There's nowhere for a leach field. Am I right, Ken?
0.2 acres?
And it's skinny.
Well, the setback from the river alone.
They don't meet the 50-foot setback.
That's why you have
So
to
there,
have
I
one
believe
way.
someone,
It's gotta be pump out.
it's gotta be a tank.
Ooh,
But
one
I
way,
think the property
Or
is
would that get expensive?
adorable.
Or they do like they do over in Sunapee, they dig a hole across the street and buy land on the other side and put your pump up.
I don't think that occupant, well, he might.
You never know.
You never-
I think who owns across, doesn't Mr. Spalding own across
I
the
have no
street?
idea.
So it depends on who
Cost the
ends
screen.
up with this property.
I
at the
know a
auction.
few people that want it.
I just looking at the layout along the river, is town, this little piece, town,
Right.
I-
It's
Alright.
real.
but
Let's
whatever.
move along here.
So
I know the
anyways,
backside too, but it's,
so anyways, I do believe it's worth more money than you think if someone is smart.
I just a lot of those, all these things we've discussed pull into that property, and that's why I wanted just to bring that up, because I know that it's.
But no tiny house without a variance, although that would be a perfect anomaly. No, it really, yeah, but you still can't do a septic.
Right.
That's the problem.
Moving on, we have public participation. I'll open it to the public for any comments that you might have that are pertinent to our purview. Seeing none, we'll come back to the board. What's your pleasure?
motion to adjourn.
We have a motion. Have a second.
Got a second.
Jeff has a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Any abstentions? The ayes have it. We are done at 8:02.